You're listening to the Racer to Racer podcast presented by Race 92. Race 92 is a vintage inspired racing apparel brand specializing in celebrating vintage race culture and adapting to motorsports today. Check out race92.com for all your racing merchandise needs. I'm your co-host, Aaron McTeer. Other co-hosts you may have seen walking out of Barber Lounge 459 with a big old smile on his face. You've probably seen him at a dirt track. He is the one and only Mr. Scott Bally.
Hello, Aaron. How are you?
I'm doing good. How about yourself?
Doing good. I got that air conditioner working thanks to the fine folks at Good Guys. Ryan and Bryce set me up, so thank you very much to them.
Yeah, you look a lot more comfortable today.
Boy, I wasn't the other day. That's what was rolling off me the other day. I recorded this in no doubtly the hottest room in the house, so it was a little hot in here, but that's all right. I suffered through.
You did, and I know there's some other people who were inside of your house to suffer through as well, and they were able to live through it. So
Yeah,
thankful for that.
I mean they came through in shining colors, man. Wow. But yeah, no, it's nice to finally have air though.
Oh, I'm sure. So our episode today is none other than 2004 Indianapolis 500 winner Buddy Rice, which was a great interview. I think
Yeah,
everyone
it
will
is.
enjoy it. You really had a lot of really interesting things to say, valuable things to say, and definitely he's not really afraid to speak his mind.
Very candid, very candid. He's going to say some things in there that may or may not irritate some people, but I don't think he cares at all. So, no, it was a great interview. It was really nice talking to him. I'd never ever spoken to him before in my life, so it was good to talk to him.
Yeah. So next week our episode's going to be Jock Lazier, which was another really good interview. Jock is definitely one of the nicest guys in racing, and I know he's got a lot going on now, and he definitely took some time out of his busy schedule, so we do appreciate it. I think everyone will enjoy that one as well.
Yeah, I really enjoyed talking to Jacques. Didn't know a ton about Jacques, but man, when you really look at his career, it was just a different type of career, right? It was I mean, he drove a lot of great race cars, but he was always like I call him in the interviews like super sub, and that's no knock. I mean that means that people really thought highly enough of him to hire him. It was just he just got in this odd role in the sport, and he didn't really break out of it. But he did have some good moments in the sport, and he's got some great opinions and thoughts, and it was really nice talking to him.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You know, it was pretty good. I would say a pretty good week in racing. Kind of interesting week in racing. I don't think we can do this episode without speaking about obviously the Alex Palou um situation. Our good friend David Land has done an outstanding job of covering that.
He has. He's done a really good job. He and a few others have really covered that about extensively as you can without having, or at least divulging true insider information. Alex announced he wasn't coming back, or actually, Ganassi announces Alex is coming back. Alex says he's not coming back, and then McLaren says he's driving for them, and then he says he's driving for McLaren, and then he said, she said, starts from there. Who knows what the future is going to hold? A lot of people didn't think he'd be running for Chip over the weekend, but he did run in Toronto. Um, and I think everybody was professionals about it. He had a kind of a rough start to the weekend, but he finished pretty well. He finished somewhere in top 10, which was a good finish for him, I believe. And so yeah, or at least he was in the top 10. I don't remember exactly where he finished, but he gave his entire effort to the team. The team gave their entire effort to him, and that's all you can ask. So yeah, that was interesting, and then Tyler Reddick announces right after RCR announces that they're looking forward to a career, a couple more years with him. He announces he's leaving to go to 2311. So just a strange week in motorsports.
Yes, very strange week. And then I think we also have to mention and we talked about this a little bit last week, the Andretti kind of turmoil with the team.
Yeah, and then that for whatever reason that just is not going away. Even though Rossi's running better, um, but Grosjean, I mean, it's just kind of a mess over there. And I don't foresee that changing at this point. Um, it's too bad. You hate to see it all in that way, because it started off so great by winning the 500, and Alexander was considered the shining star in the sport for a period, and now there's it's just DNFs and crashes and war of the words, or and hopefully when he gets to McLaren, things will change. He gets back to being who he is.
Yeah, and that was kind of the deal with Rossi, right? I mean, he was
Yeah,
not having the strongest season until they made the announcement, and all of a sudden
he started
seemed
running
like
better.
yeah, so I mean, you can kind of take however you want to take that, but it's kind of a weird deal. It's kind of hard telling.
Yeah, it really is strange, and everything kind of centers around Ramon for some reason. Who knows? I mean, people who are around the paddock probably know. As a casual observer, there's just no way of really knowing what's going on there. Um, but you hate to see it. I mean, in a lot of ways. I mean, I know some people love the turmoil and the controversy and all that, and the cauldron of hate, as they were calling it, and all of that. But at some point, I mean, I mean, I don't know. I mean, at some point, that's all gimmicky, and
Yeah.
at the end of the day, it's human beings driving race cars, and you just kind of hate to see these situations where they're getting crashed or getting into each other, because things can go wrong and people can get hurt, and so that's my opinion, at least.
Yeah, it is interesting because yeah, I mean, it's kind of blown up just because it's on biggest stage of open wheel racing in America.
Right.
But I mean, these things happen, and probably even bigger things happen in the lower ranks of the sport. I mean, USF 2000, we can definitely think of a few things that have happened this year. Probably even Indy Pro, Indy Lights, and obviously it's not blown up just because of the people that are involved with IndyCar and also just it being on the biggest stage.
Well, it's just you get egos involved, and at all levels of sport, people got drivers and teams. They all have big egos, and uh, feelings get hurt, and and just it's just things like that, and it's whatever. As long as nobody gets hurt, I think that's the only thing you can say is
Yeah.
just you know race cars can be repaired.
Yeah, that is true. So, I don't know if we really have much more news to really cover.
No, Scott Dixon wins at Toronto. Chris Bell finally gets his oval win, New Hampshire. Congratulations to them. Uh, our buddy Jagger Jones, he got back to his good qualifying ways. He sat outside the front row in both races. He ran third in the first one. Second one, he got the front wing knocked off going for second, and ended up still running sixth without the front wings. So great effort by him. Um, Sad news. I'm sure everybody's heard about it. USAC standout, one-time NASCAR development driver Bobby East gets his life ended at a gas station in California on Thursday, I believe it was, after some sort of argument. Just so sad. I remember watching Bobby race Canyon cars. In midgets, he's won 50 plus USAC races. He won 3 USAC national championships. He won 20 plus USAC midget races. He won 11 Silver Crown races. He did a lot in a very short span of his life. His father, as many will know, Bob East, and his mother, Janice East, owner of Beast Race Cars, the most successful car builders of all time in midgets and Silver Crown cars. His dad's the best. When his dad ran the Steve Lewis 9 team, they were almost unbeatable. And Bobby grew up around that. Bobby ran for Steve, won his national championship for Steve, won a lot of races for Steve. And I hate it for his family. I hate it for his mom and dad and sisters and his nephew, Charlie, who, as everybody knows, lost his life. His father lost his life, Jason Leffler. So you just, thoughts go out to him. I don't know what roads in Bobby's life led him to that gas station in that area of California. But it's sad that it did. So again, best wishes to his family.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I hope everyone enjoys the interview with Buddy Rice, and stay tuned next week for Jock Lazier, and I hope everyone has a great week.
Yeah, everybody, please have a great week and take care.
Just wanted to thank everyone for listening and watching. If you're watching on YouTube, please hit like and subscribe, and also check us out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and anywhere where podcasts can be found. We do appreciate everyone watching and listening. Our guest today is a 2004 Indianapolis 500 winner and won the 2009 24 Hours of Daytona. He is also the technical director for Dry Ryan Bull Racing. We are joined by Buddy Rice. Hey, Buddy, thank you so much for being on the show. How are you doing?
Doing great. Thanks for having me.
And hey, that is your, I guess I should ask this before we start, but that is your title with Dry Ryan Bull, right? Technical director?
Yeah, I guess so. It moves around. I got all kinds of different jobs I do with them, but yeah, as of where we're at right now, that's basically the technical director.
All right. So, talk a little bit. Obviously, you win the 2004 Indianapolis 500, but what actually? So your father was a drag racer, right? So that's probably what got you interested in racing.
Yeah, my dad. I've been around drag racing and race cars and stuff like that, like my whole life since I was little. So that definitely got us started. And I played a lot of baseball growing up and was kind of heading that direction. But I was right around junior high school, things started to change and kind of went the direction of go-karts, and one thing evolved into the next, and next thing you know, I'm driving open wheel cars, and things just kept going down the road.
Would you say when you started, the karting path, and just four wheels in general, did you was your goal ever to win the Indy 500 or to compete in it? Or what was your goal kind of starting out?
That's really a good question. I don't know. I watched a lot of Formula One back then. I was a big fan of Senna. I went to some of the same training stuff that he went to when I started getting into big cars in 96, 97 with Human Performance International. And then obviously I went on in 98 to become a Red Bull athlete and was with them all the way through almost 2011. So I watched a lot of stuff evolve and change. I watched Indy 500. I loved it. I loved Indy cars. I loved Formula One. Big thing at the time was I'm not one that, I guess for lack of a better term, I don't always have like these lofty goals, these crazy aspirations. I try to keep things somewhat in perspective, and I always wanted to drive open wheel, and I wanted to be a race car driver as I started getting into that. And that's where I went. But you could have never have guessed or thought that I would do what I've done, and I'm just lucky. A lot of things went my way. Timing was really good on certain aspects, and obviously in others it wasn't. But I was able to, win Indy, win Daytona, and be a part of a small group of people that have been able to do both.
when you started, I mean, so you were in carts for a while, and then you went into USF 2000, right? Was that your first Formula car racing?
Yeah, correct. Yeah, I went right from go karts to F2000s. Then I went to England for the junior Vauxhalls for Team USA. Then I came back, ran Atlantics for 3 years. Um, then I became a test driver at one point for Ray Hall for the IndyCar program. Um, and then I went into Indy cars. I was still driving sports cars at the time, and just kept, kind of kept going.
So your first year in IndyCar was 2002 with Cheever. Your first race was Michigan, right? So was that your
Michigan.
Okay, cool. Did you do I'm trying to think, did they do ovals in Atlantic? Yeah, they did, didn't they? They did a few.
Just a couple. Yeah,
Just a
my
couple.
first, actually, I never even did an oval race until 1996 with an F2000 car. My dad and I owned it, and we had a local guy helping us, and we just showed up at one of the pro races, just showed up, checked it out, tried to do it, and we ended up qualifying on the front row with the oldest car by 6 years. So, like, it's 96, so we qualified on pole to 1990 Van Diemen, and everybody else was running new 1996 Van Diemens at the time.
What was that like when you went to Michigan and got a full taste of that?
It was wild because I was in line to get that Cheever seat to start the season, and for money and political reasons, I didn't get it. And what ended up happening was they ended up having a problem with it, and I got the phone call. I was driving home. I got a phone call and was told I had to be in Kentucky in 3 days for rookie orientation. So I went home, got on a plane, flew to Kentucky, did a night test, and got past my rookie orientation. Got done that night, got on the plane next morning, flew straight to Michigan, and then was running Friday morning in Michigan. And to go there with my mom, her whole side of the family is from Lansing, Michigan, and they ran the port of Lansing. So for me to go there, do my first race in Michigan and having family there was cool.
Oh,
I can only imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, the Red Bull, I always thought the Red Bull team was really cool. It's kind of a cool deal that they had. I remember like their hospitality thing. I mean, Red Bull obviously put tons of money into racing. Especially, well, now obviously they basically have two Formula One teams. But what was so from there the next year after Red Bull, you did a full season with that team in 2003, correct? That was your first full season.
I didn't do a full season because I got fired with 2 or 3 rounds to go from Cheever.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yep, I didn't even make it the full deal, and so I got fired, and because the cars were so bad and we were having like issues, and we went and did a test at Kentucky, and so it didn't go very well because I had made some comments about some stuff. So I got released after that. I went and drove some sports cars again, and then I got a truck deal with Thor Sport, and I was heading to do that, and I had a truck deal. I mean, a Busch deal too, to go test a Busch car. So I was going to test Busch. I tested the truck, raced the truck. I had a multi-year deal on the table for Thor Sport. But before I went and did that test, after I'd been released, I showed up at the Texas race, and I met with Ray Hall, and I had been the test driver for Bob for like 3 years at that point. 2 years I've been testing the Champ car for him, and so they brought me out there to talk. Well, we did that talk. Well, I was leaving the track heading for home, and then I was on my way to go test the truck, and that's when Kenny crashed and had that big one with Schechter there.
Right.
And then he told me to sit tight, and I said, okay, well, I got to keep going. And then all of a sudden I did the truck deal. The truck deal went good. I came back, and then all of a sudden I got a phone call. I had to fly within 48 hours, had to be in Columbus, Ohio to meet with Ray Hall. And I showed up and got offered to drive that because the game plan was for me and Kenny to be teammates, run a 2-car operation at Ray Hall. And then with the crash, they decided to pull back and just stick to 1 car.
How surreal. I mean, that month of May in 2004, I mean, you were fast the whole month. You win the pole. Obviously, you win the races. I mean, how surreal was that whole experience? Just that month, like being on top the whole month. And this is before you even win the race. Because like you were saying, the year before, things were kind of unsure. You basically, got fired from Cheever. You were riding trucks, and all of a sudden, I mean, you're the fastest car at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway in the biggest race of the world.
Yeah, I mean, we knew we were quick. We didn't know we were that quick at the time, obviously, but we had a pretty good idea because we should have won. We should have won Japan, and we didn't. We got, I forget, we ended up finishing like 4th or 5th there, but on 7 cylinders. We had lost a coil pack about 10, 15 laps in. So we should have won Motegi and didn't, and then went there. And our stuff was just kind of rolling, and we were just kind of doing our thing, but, we weren't out doing the big PR number. We're just working on our car. We had everything rolling with the G-Force and Ilmor and Honda, and everything was going good. And then, me and Todd Bolin, engineer at the time, and I'd been with those guys obviously before with the testing program, and he and I were going at it a little bit back and forth on the setup. We made a final adjustment, and we were laughing about it actually this month, so I just brought him back in with Brian Reinbold. But we'd done that deal, and it was it was really good. And we obviously sat on pole. We knew we had one shot at it. Scott Remke and Bob were not going to let us take multiple runs at it. And, timing, everything, like we had the whole thing hung out, and we were really good. And everything just kept rolling from there.
Right. And I'm sure from a competitor standpoint, part of you probably wishes that the race probably would have finished, the full 200 laps under green. But I'm sure when you're leading the thing and there's a storm coming and you're the winner at that point, I'm sure you're not going to complain, right?
No, I'm definitely not going to complain. But I mean, I think everybody knew. I mean, we led more laps than anybody. We had
Right.
last lap. I mean, we had everything covered. We had that stall in the pit stop. We'd had some issues leading up to that with the traction control, and it stalled. And then after that, we just turned it off. But we knew. I mean, we were just sitting, and then when Remke called with a stop, 1 to 2 stops ago, Remke made the call like, we got to go. So we started marching forward and had the thing fully wicked up, and we didn't care anymore. We just ran the thing full rich and ran all the way to the end. And, our car had been quick. We knew what we could do. And no, I mean, I don't think the outcome wouldn't have been any different. I mean, I guess we could have made mistakes or something could have happened. But at the end of the day, I mean, to be as short as we were, it wasn't that big of a deal, I don't think, at the end of the day.
That was a pretty crazy victory lane too, because isn't that the one they had to move it inside?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was the first time they'd done it in the Formula One garages, which, I mean, obviously, everybody knows I'm a little different. I have the flat bill. I do all the stuff just a little differently, so it was perfect for me just because it was so different that it's just one of those things that just kind of all like fit together, and everybody was laughing like, what else could you ask for? It's a big gnarly storm. There's no normal celebration. We're all stuffed into a Formula One garage. And the thing is that it was completely uncontrolled and completely wide open, which it's never that way. So it was just full mayhem the whole time, and it was cool. It was fun, and everybody remembers it just because it was so different.
Right. I think just everyone that was involved. I mean, obviously Bobby and David Letterman, who has an enormous amount of passion for the race, and I'm sure to share his first Indy win with him like that was pretty special for sure.
Yeah, for sure. It was his first time his name was on the the first time his name was on the owner sheet. His name was on the team stuff. His name was everywhere. So to do that, it was really special for him.
I'm sure.
He was there. He'd always been there, but nobody knew it. And this time he was in pit lane. So it was a really special deal for Dave, being a local guy. Scott Remke, who's not with us anymore, was also from there. He used to spend every day he could down at the Speedway. He knew everything there was about the Speedway. So did you think about like how Bob got there with their program and Truman and everything else, just to bring everybody in? It was a very special time for that all to work out.
Oh, absolutely. And you're talking about like not doing a lot of PR stuff earlier in the year. So talk about probably going from 0 to 100 real quick. I mean, you win the Indy 500, then you go on pretty big media tour, right? So you were on the David Letterman show, I believe.
Yes, correct.
And then did you go to the White House?
Yeah, this is the first time in like, I don't know, maybe since Mears, since anybody had been there. Yeah, it had been a really, really long time, and Bush is a huge Sports Nuts fan guy, so that was super cool to go do that. No one had been there. We had a great time. Like, that was super cool. I got to throw the first pitch out at Yankee Stadium. I think they hadn't really been doing that since 9/11. So that had just started. We did the stock exchange, and we did so much stuff, and we flew around so much the whole week. It was one of the busiest tours I think they ever had, because we just didn't say no to anything. We're like, okay, let's just go. Like, just like have at it and have a good time.
Now I got to ask: did you one hop it, or did you smoke it right in the glove?
Oh no, right in the glove. I played enough baseball. I was not going to one hop it.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
And you want to hear the best part about that deal was that also had a rain delay. So we went out to go start the game, rain delay. We're in there hanging out. It's me, Reggie Jackson, Derek Jeter. We had God, what's the guy? They called him Godzilla. I can't think of his name. He played for the Yankees at the time. He came over from Japan. He was over there hanging out.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I know you're talking about.
His name? I can't think. Yeah. So he was there. All these guys were coming out, like doing the whole deal, and then and I don't have the gentleman's name. Also, he is the trainer. He's the head medical guy for the Yankees. And every year, what they do is they do the grid, and then what you do is you randomly pick out of a hat, pick a driver. Well, the guy that ended up picking my name out of the team came out and goes high-fiving me, and we're all talking about how he won all this money because of the pot and all the stuff. And I'm like, yo, dude, where's my cut then? So we were like all having a good time. So I got a lot of time to like go down there and hang out and meet those guys more than you normally would, because we had this extra downtime and everybody was just kind of together. So it was actually once again, like anything else, it's a little bit different, unexpected, and everybody's having a blast.
Well, and Reggie Jackson's a huge car guy too. So I mean,
probably for sure.
Yeah, so that was probably cool as well.
And how? So I mean, after you win the 500, it's always like. And back then, I think the race in 2004, the race after the 500 was Texas. Now it's Detroit. Immediately after, I mean, how hard is that to rebound and go into a race like immediately after you win literally the biggest race in the world? Because it seems like usually the person who wins the 500, when you kind of look at the stats, they never do that well. And then in the first race, what's now is Detroit.
Yeah, the sad part about that is we were leading Texas.
Mm-hmm.
And everything was rolling. We were right in the driver's seat there too, and we ended up breaking a half shaft.
Mm.
Oh wow!
With a stop to go, one stop to go, and we blew the half shaft out of it. And it just, I don't know why. Obviously, it was a night race, and maybe it's just the thing got like hooked up or whatever. We never had problems like that, and it just sucked because we had 3 or 4 of those races that year in 2004 that we should have just blatantly flat won, and because something happened, we didn't, and that's what ended up costing us the championship.
Right. So you won 3 races total that year. Obviously, the 500, Kansas, Michigan. I think you finished 3rd in the championship. Which I mean, that's a decent result. But the next year, you're still with Ray Hall. You do just one more full season with Ray Hall, right? And then you
2 more.
Two more. Okay. Gotcha. And then that's when you got hooked up with Ryan Reinbolt in 2007, right? And that's obviously who you're involved with now. So I guess kind of how did that transition work from driving for Ryan Reinbolt? You did 2 full seasons with him, right? And then now obviously you're, like you said, technical director in multiple roles. So kind of how did that relationship kind of start to where like I want to do something with Ryan Reinbolt after, I have my driving career?
Well, what happened was I was at X Games, and I'd been running my go-kart team for like 12 years or so, like maybe not quite that, maybe it's 10. And I had a bunch of kids coming out of go-karts that wanted to move up. And at the time, I'd been helping out with some teams on the West Coast. I was living in California. I was helping out some short course off-road guys. My kids were starting to move up that I had on my go-kart team. So I was helping them get up there. And I was at X Games for Rallycross. And I was cruising through the paddock, and Dennis and those guys had teamed up with another group, and they were running a supercar. And it had Nelson Piquet Jr. driving. So I was over there, and I talked to Dennis. He asked me what was going on. I told him what I'd been doing, and I was basically on the short end of just getting ready to just close my go-kart program down because I knew where go-karting was going. It was getting too expensive, and I could see the direction of it. And no one wanted to, and I say no one, none of the teams wanted to get together to try to work together to make sure that it wouldn't go in a bad direction. So I was like, I need to do something different. And, Dennis said, hey, show up for this lights test we got going on coming up. Let's go look at it. I said, okay. So there was a lights test after the last race in Vegas. I brought 3 kids out. I talked to Dennis, and I said, look, I got a couple kids that want to go run this. I got a couple guys that want to go run open wheel and blah, blah, blah. And so what we ended up doing was finding a way, and Dennis ended up going, look, you bring the kids and come work for me, and I'll go buy all the stuff, and then you run the lights program. And so since then, basically, I've been running the lights program. We run anywhere between 2 and 4 cars a year, and I put all that together, and I bring all the kids, and we make it happen. And then now we're on to supercars. This last year, we ran, 4 Audis, and we partnered up with Joel Kristofferson over out of Sweden, and he's tied to Matthias Ekstrom. And now we're going to continue that moving forward with 4 electric supercars for this upcoming year, and we're running 2 to 3 lights cars in Europe, and then we'll come back here and we'll run 3 to 4 lights cars here in the States. I've been doing that, and then I ended up starting with Ed Carpenter and Hildebrand on the IndyCar program. I did that for about 2-3 years, and then I ended up switching to while running this, obviously the Rallycross program, I switched over to the IndyCar program with Reinbold, brought Hildebrand over there, and then I've been helping out on that whole program and just, helping those guys. And I have a good relationship with Dennis. I like driving for him. Obviously, when I came on board, a lot of things were changing and evolving and trying to get, go in a different direction than they had been. And we had a lot of success. And me and Dennis were just talking about it about a week ago in Indy, sitting at the shop in the condo, about how many times we had really good results going and something happened or this or that. And it just, we had a really good time, and I really enjoyed my time there. So now I get to stay there.
Right.
Perform a different job.
Did you actually did you say you actually raced in the Rallycross at all?
I did do the 2013 X Games for Volkswagen.
Okay.
I drove down there, and then after that, I didn't really do it anymore. I was supposed to, but some things didn't work out, and then I ended up just bringing drivers and doing what I'm doing now. And then this past race I was the strategist and ran Santino for Dreyer.
Well, it was a good race.
Yeah, we should have finished 5th or 6th was probably what we deserved. We ran there basically from the 2nd or 3rd stop on. We were right there in the hunt. The 2 McLarens and the Ganassi cars were super fast. We were missing a little bit to run with them. We were able to keep up, but we weren't going to be able to race them like we wanted to the end. And then, but with the stop to go, we had a little issue and stuff, but it's all good.
I think a lot of people ask themselves, why is that program an Indy only program? Is it a case where that's the one you guys really want to win, or is it just dollars and cents, or, why do they just do Indy only?
I would say D, all the above. It's the one that makes the most financial sense. We also get to put a lot of focus on that. So our cars are Indy only cars. So we're really, our cars are really good for that. And I would also say is that with our Rallycross program and everything else we have going on, we really like doing that. We see a future in it, but to try to go run full time in IndyCar, the budget's really high. I think it's hard to get that budget, and how we're trying to do it and what we'd like to do. So I think that we're a little, we're different. We run Indy only, but we have the capability of winning. We have the capability to run up front. We just proved that with Santino. I think that we can make another step forward with the adjustments that we made coming into this year. I think we're massive benefits. I think that it proved itself, and we're going to make another leap forward. And as an Indy only team, that we can be super competitive. But we also really like the Rallycross program, like where it's going. We like the future of it. We like the people that are a part of it. And I think there's, I think there's going to be a lot going on there, and I think it's going to be really good for us.
Now the rally program, it's a Nitro Rallycross. It's Pastrana's league, right?
Correct.
Now, were you guys doing any of the Extreme E stuff? It seemed
No,
like,
we don't do
oh,
any
okay.
of that.
Yeah, it seemed like there were several teams that were IndyCar. I think Ganassi and a couple other teams were doing that. But yeah, no,
Correct.
yeah, no, the rallycross stuff is really cool, and man, they do that Utah, that I forget what the Utah Motorsports Park or whatever, that Corsa Travis designed. The Scott Speed actually, like, I think he broke his back on it. It's pretty crazy stuff.
Yeah, that was just an unfortunate deal, just a oddball, weird timing thing that caused that.
Hmm.
Travis's stuff is super cool. The people behind it, there's a lot of horsepower. The thing's it's gonna take off. They got a lot of sponsorship dollars behind it. They got the right partners behind it.
Sure.
I think you're gonna see, once they announce it, there's some new things coming down the pipe and some other people getting involved. And I think when people see that, I think it's gonna show. It's got the longevity. It's gonna show. It's got all the stuff that it's gonna be here for a while. And I think people are gonna be pretty excited.
Yeah, because I know the series, or the different formation of the series kind of, struggled there for a little bit because it was a global rallycross. And then I know there was some financial deals there with like the owner, and then it went to, I think, the ARX, and then now it's the Nitro. Is that's a correct kind of progress of the leagues, right? From GRC to ARX to Nitro.
That is correct, and it's definitely caused us a little bit of headache just because
I'm sure.
people question it, what it's going to do. But
Right.
I can tell you right now, the group they have right now and the situation it is and where it's going will it
Mhm.
have sustainability and it'll be solid.
Obviously you're have been or are in many different facets of racing right now, or recently. Kind of, what do you see the state of motorsports?
I don't know. It's changed so much. It's so diluted in the lower ranks in America. Um, it's kind of sad. You know, we were already viewed earlier as not being quite as competitive as the Europeans. You know, back in the late '90s, early 2000s. Um, I don't think that was always true because I just don't think the guys that went over there got a fair shake at the deal. But I mean, now we're so diluted. The kids don't race against all the best people, and you're not as prepared as you should be. Now, that doesn't mean that the top level kids aren't capable of making it happen, but it's just, I think it takes a little bit more work. There's a little more effort that needs to be done. There's just things like that, and in America, there's kind of the state of where everything's going, how expensive it's all getting, pretty gnarly.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what to say about it. I'm shocked. I think the GT program is super awesome. There's so many opportunities with this GT3 platform running it as is globally. I think that was the smartest thing those guys could have done. I mean, no one could have foreseen the future on that. But what they did and where they've gone, oh my God. I mean, you can take any GT3 car and basically, with the exception of weight and tires, you can show up anywhere and go run that thing. And, I mean, obviously, certain cars and programs are going to be more adapt to certain situations and tracks, but at least you know where everything's at and you can go running it, and it's, you got a shot. So, I think it's super cool on that. The open wheel side, I think it's a little bit disappointing. I don't know what to do. I'm not saying I have the answer, but it's definitely not what it used to be.
Yeah, I feel like you were kind of pointing out, and what a couple of our guests on the show this year been younger drivers. Jagger Jones, who's doing USF 2000, Jack Wayne Miller, Dr. Jackson, some of those kids, and so I followed it a little more this year, and it's man, that lower division stuff. This stuff is, I mean, it's expensive, and it's a tough go. I don't know. I'm not saying it's not good. It's just I would like to see it. It doesn't feel as healthy as it should be.
No, exactly, and it's because I believe it's just the financial side. You know,
Hmm.
you start cresting certain numbers, it completely changes the pool of people available to get in there.
Right.
So, you know, it's super expensive to run an open wheel car. I don't understand why. You know, you're not allowed to test, you're not allowed to develop, you're not allowed to do anything. Yet it's more expensive than it was when we had stuff and we were basically wide open. You could do as much testing as you wanted, and development was almost wide open. It just makes you wonder where's all the money going, you know? And it's
Right.
just sad because I think there's a lot of good kids that could, you know, be very competitive and go do stuff, but they don't have the dollars. And so what you end up happening is all the athletes and all those people end up going somewhere and um, kind of get stuck, and it is what it is. So
Yeah, I was listening to someone talk the other day, and they were just talking about even the tire costs in the lower divisions. How the numbers I heard were double, triple what they estimated the cost were going to be this year. And I don't know. I've never bought a set of tires, but for those divisions, I haven't. I can tell you that in like sprint car midget world, the tires have definitely went up quite a bit. And I just these unknown variables that used to be if they just moved a couple percentage points wasn't a big deal. Now they're swinging 20, 30, 40, 50%. And that's a big deal.
yeah, I don't understand that. I mean, I get it right now with all the stuff going on, but even prior to this happening, stuff was good. I mean, not tire prices, but everything else just running race cars was getting really expensive, and I don't know why. I mean,
Right.
I don't get it. So
So obviously, you kind of have like the front office job now with Dry Ramble Racing. Is there any racing that you still do at all, or any kind of racing you would like to do at this point in your life?
yeah, I mean, I won't get into it too much. I had a deal in place where I was going to go drive a hypercar in WEC,
Oh,
Mm,
but because of COVID, that changed it, and they went with more European drivers. Um, so that kind of sucked. Um, if the right deal comes around or the right program comes around, I will drive again, but it's got to be the right deal. I've put way too much effort into the management side of in running teams and managing kids right now to throw that away. So, but if the right deal comes around, I'll drive again. And my goal would be to try to get to Le Mans. That's the main focus right now. I have some ability of getting there, but I want to drive. I could go drive some GT stuff, but I don't want to do that. I want to get into a prototype.
sure.
And also my driver ratings a problem in IMSub. Until I get dropped to a silver, I'm not gonna have very many opportunities. So
Yeah, the driver ranking stuff. We've talked about that with a couple other guests of the show, and that's something that and everyone we've interviewed about it, like we've had Renus VK on, and a couple other people who drove at Daytona, and no one really understands why the rankings work the way they do.
no, I mean here's a prime example, and I love him to death, so don't think I'm saying anything bad. But like Maidmo Gidley's considered a bronze driver. Like really, the guy's driven everything. And like granted, he's had some crashes, he's had some incidents and stuff. He's a great driver, but to be, and then you got other guys that are penalized from driving for so many years that they're considered platinum or gold and can't get demoted even though they haven't driven in years. So like I don't understand the ideology. I don't understand the thought process. You
Hmm.
know, so, and there's no way some of us, like myself, I can't go drive in a gold or platinum spot because the manufacturer paid so much money to those kids that they've taken care of for so long and invested so much. Those kids deserve the seat, and the manufacturer deserves to get their money back against it. So I totally get it. I can't fault them. They're doing what they got to do, what's best for their company. But myself, Joey Hand, and there's a bunch of other dudes out there that are all stuck in this no man's land, and we can't go drive. Like if I was a silver driver, I could get a job tomorrow, but I'm not, so I can't. So they tried this 3 years ago and couldn't get me in, and so I'm waiting until either I turn 50 or my driver thing somehow changes, which they say is going to change next year, and I'll get dropped. But they say that, but talk's cheap.
Right? Yeah, no, that's just so crazy. So when you look back at your career, obviously the Indy 500 one I would think would definitely be on the top of that. But the big thing people always say, like when you win the Indy 500, is it changes your life. I mean, really looking back, like did it? I mean, if you look back since you won the Indy 500, would you say that it kind of changed your life in ways that you thought it would, or were there like surprises or opportunities that you got that you don't think you probably would have got if it wasn't for that win?
I think back in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, it
Mhm.
changed. It changed everything. I think after that, it doesn't do what everybody says it does. I mean, here's a prime example. Like I won, did everything on the planet, promotional wise, appearance wise, anything and everything we could go do.
Yeah.
Now, granted, I'm a little different. Like I said before, I got a flat bill. I dress different, like whatever. So when everything didn't do what it did in '05 and going into '06, we were like, man, it's like, okay, maybe I'm a little too hardcore. Maybe I'm a little too extreme. Maybe I'm just too different, like whatever. Dan Weldon won in '05. Me and I sat down in '06 at the middle to late, and nothing had changed for him either. And it's just things had changed, times have changed, the way people look at stuff changes. You couldn't get two more polar opposite people than me and Dan Weldon. And
Sure.
we had sat down and discussed it, and we are like, okay. And when he said he couldn't get anything to click, he asked me how my stuff went. And don't get me wrong, did stuff happen? Did I get deals? Absolutely. Was it like what everybody says when the floodgates are wide open? You just get whatever you want. You get to cherry pick, and it's rainbows and unicorns? Absolutely not. That did not happen. And when it didn't happen for Weldon, he's a complete different person than me, then it just showed you like everything had changed, and it just shows you the destruction of the split. It shows you the destruction of other things, and it just happened. It is what it is. So here we are, and now you got to make the most of it, and you got to adapt and carry on and make it work.
For any young driver that's, for example, good friend of the show, like Scott says, Jagger Jones, he's in USF 2000. What would be your biggest piece of advice for someone starting kind of in the bottom level of the road to Indy and has aspirations of racing the 500 and winning the 500?
I think that the biggest thing I could tell any young driver coming up is drive as much stuff as you can, all the different stuff you can, because I call it it's putting tools in your toolbox. How many jobs can you do? If you only do one thing, that means you have one tool in your toolbox. That means you only do one thing. So the more stuff you can go drive, the more diverse you are, the more expansion your brain is, the better you're going to be, the better all-around, well-rounded driver you are. So take anything and everything and all opportunities you can get. Make sure it's a proper opportunity and a proper deal, but that's the deal. You got to be good, and you got to try new things and expand and get outside your comfort zone.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great answer. We've asked many people that same question, and I really think, Scott, that may be one of the first times we've really heard an answer like that as far as trying diverse, different types of motorsports.
Yeah, no, and I think that's a great great way to put it. And I mean, like you said, you just got to make sure everybody knows that you're open to whatever. I mean, and that you can get it done if they hire you.
Yeah, absolutely. And you got to be able to jump in, be confident, know what to expect, and do your job. And if you've never done it before, you're going to be in trouble. So that's why I tell all the kids I work with, everybody, any opportunity we get, we need to look at it, find a way. Or what I try to do is I try to get them experience and stuff before that comes up, so that we can accept those kind of offers and opportunities and make the most of it when it presents itself.
Absolutely. Well, Scott, do you have anything else?
Man, I don't. I tell you, buddy, I'll be very honest with you. I knew about your IndyCar experience. I didn't know a lot about your other. It's been, been eye opening to just see everything that you've done. And man, what you guys are doing at Driving Rival is pretty impressive for getting, you guys so competitive year after year after year. So hats off to you for that. And no, thank you for doing the show.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me. And you guys want me on, just hit me up. It's great talking to people and being a part of it all.
Oh, absolutely. No, we definitely really appreciate it, buddy. And yeah, Tom said you're in Detroit, right?
No, I was supposed to go to Detroit to help out an IndyCar team, but we changed that program up a little bit, and I'm actually still at home in Phoenix.
Oh, okay. All right. All right. Well, again, buddy, thank you so much. And yeah, no, we'll definitely have you back on the show again. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you so much.
No problem. Thanks for having me.